Okay. Okay, so I believe it's day 166, hopefully. So today I want to actually talk about something different other than money and human design, because there's going to be more time to talk about all that anyways, just because, well, hey, I'm doing 365 days live. So today I actually want to talk to you about reading books. So when I was a kid, I didn't really get much into reading. And then I remember when I was about 19, a coworker of mine loaned me this book because the title just sounded so enticing. And the title of the book was called Sex, Murder, and a Double Latte. And it was a very easy read, fun book, girly, and the characters were explained in a very fun way. So I got into it. And then that is basically how I got into reading books. And so I became obsessed. I would go to chapters and look through the stacks and see which books I wanted to read. I just was reading all the time. I even worked at chapters at one point too, which that was fun in its own, because I was able to talk to people about books until chapters Indigo turned into something more than just a bookstore. So fast forward 2 years later, I found myself struggling to sit down and read a novel. And I was talking to my sister the other day. I'm I can read self-development books no problem. But I really get into them and I do the journal prompts. But when it came to novels, I always struggled to pay attention. I found myself reading the same sentence over and over, not being able to fully dive in. And I was getting frustrated with that because no matter what book I picked up, I was getting the same thing. And she said she found that same thing for her too. And then I was listening to a podcast and they were mentioning that too. They were saying how it's very difficult to pay attention to a book. And in the podcast they mentioned is because we have these devices, we have these phones that it's we want everything so instantaneously that sitting through reading a 300-page book, a novel, a story, or watching a 3-hour movie, and unless that movie is filled with action left, right, and center, sometimes it can be challenging in this day and age because of everything we do so instantaneous. When was the last time you sat and watched Casablanca or Breakfast at Tiffany's? And did you find yourself being able to actually sit through those stories, those old movies? It can be really challenging because everything we want it right now, and we just got so used to it with technology. But there's a little bit of sadness to that, in my opinion, because it takes away the beauty of the stillness and the beauty of being present and in the moment and not rushing through things. And so this summer, I have made a point that I was really going to slow down and be patient with myself, be patient with the universe. That was kind of a little bit part of the flower essence therapy that I've been doing. And I find it interesting how making those intentions has rippled in other areas in my life of being able to slow down. And so the other day I picked up a book and I was okay, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try reading again. And what I purposely did is I put my phone away. I put my phone away so far away from where I was so that I wouldn't reach for it. Because that's the thing, is that we subconsciously reach for our phones. We're oh, what's happening there? And so I put my phone far away. This is day 3. I've read 2 books. 2 books. I read 2 books in 3 days. One book I read it in a day, and then the other one I read it in 2 days, which is crazy. So the first book it's called Summer at Lake Haven. It's just a cute little love story, which I really enjoyed. And then the second book, this one was really good, and actually it is a #1 bestseller. I had no idea, but also a very interesting fact about this author. So it's called Where the Crawdads Sing. And then interesting fact, this is it is kind of a little bit of a murder mystery-ish, but written differently. And funny story, the author is now on probably wanted for murder for something in Africa. So funny coincidence. Anyways, but I guess just to say is that when you slow down in one areas of your life, it ripples out to others. When you decide to be intentional and sit in the slowness and the stillness of life without rushing to the next thing and just enjoying the beauty of what's around you, it ripples into all areas. And there's this sort of beauty of it all between getting lost in nature with it, or sitting at the surf waiting for that next wave and just being patient about it, or just getting lost in a book. To share that with you. And that's it. So that's day 166. Hope you enjoyed this live. Speak to you tomorrow.